your game gear on under your jacket? How do I get Mr. Johnson's attention?
What other pools do we have?
We're on. That's it.
That's it, just it?
I know. You ready, Mr. Johnson? He didn't even answer me. He didn't hear me, did he? I spoke so softly. You guys ready?
Yeah, he's not going to move.
No.
Thank goodness.
Board members, are you guys ready? Okay. All right. Good evening. I'm going to call to order our meeting for this evening. Please rise for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much, Superintendent.
Good evening and welcome. I'd like to welcome back Ms. Bailey Stevens, our student representative from Umatilla High Schools. Welcome back, Bailey. Bailey is an 11th grade student at Umatilla High. She is a member of the National Honor Society, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, Avid Club, Key Club, and the Principal's Cabinet, and a recent inductee to the Advanced Placement Academy at Umatilla High. She participates in the youth and adult praise team, singing, playing the piano, and keyboard. She was Teen Miss Umatilla during her 8th grade year, and she is currently deciding on a major for college and is sure that it will be in an area where she can continue to serve others. So welcome. And also with us tonight is Rookie Teacher of the Year finalist Jessica Browning from Leesburg High School. So welcome. Ms. Browning is a second-year math teacher at Leesburg High School, teaching grades 9 through 12. She has a passion for teaching that came to her unexpectedly while tutoring to earn volunteer hours during her undergraduate studies. She said, "I wanted to make a difference by helping students understand and develop a passion for mathematics." So we look forward to hearing from you in just a few minutes.
Thank you. Board members, we have a request for the staffing plan, so we're going to go ahead and pull item. I didn't even take a look to see what item that was before I said that. 9.06. Are there any additional items that we need to pull?
8.12.
8.12.
Is 8.04?
Yes, we're going to pull 8.04 for no action this evening.
And are you going to pull 905?
8.4, no action.
Superintendent.
Are you going to pull that?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and pull 905. There'll be a correction to that one this evening.
So it's pulled for no action, or it's pulled for discussion?
There'll be a correction on it.
Okay.
It is pulled for action.
9.01.
And 9.01, Dr. Burns?
Do these need to be pulled? 9.01 and 9.02.
We have to deem them, I'm assuming these are revised today. No, they don't have to be pulled. No, they don't have to be pulled.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so just for clarification purposes, 8.04 is being pulled for no action. 8.12 is pulled by Dr. Burns. 9.05 is pulled for a correction, and 9.06 is pulled because of public input. Any others? Okay. Due to us having a board member who is also representing Umatilla High School this evening in one of the district playoff games, we are going to adjust the order of our agenda this evening and move right into our discussion items. So I'm going to ask Mr. Montori to come up. He's our public input card in regards to the staffing plan, and then we're going to discuss that. I know, we're taking you by surprise. You're first up tonight.
Do not be
It has
concerned
not.
that this is going to be a negative thing by the picture there. It's just something to kind of gallows humor and to drive the point. Madam Chairman, Superintendent, members of the board, thank you for this opportunity. Don't let the handout mislead you. I'm not here to talk negatively. I'm here to talk mostly positively and to ask seriously for some common sense. The subject is going to be the staffing plan, which you will workshop after this meeting. As a high school teacher, and I am here only in that capacity, I believe we are being heard, and I appreciate that. We are reacting just to rumors, and so that is what, unfortunately, a lot of my comments are based on. And again, you will hear more about the facts after this meeting. As a Lake County teacher and a school leader, I have three simple guiding principles. What is the best for my students? Eliminate as much testing as possible, and if a position does not add value to a classroom teacher, at least weekly, to push back as hard as I can until those resources are redistributed into the classroom. Which brings me to the staffing plan. Again, I don't have all the information. I have found the new administration very open. Diana shared with me there are positions that the state required. I don't know what those are. Chad and I in negotiations have talked about I don't know what all the specific jobs are necessary, and I will admit that. And Christy, Bill, and Emily are fully aware of my position on the regional teams. So again, I am asking for common sense. When you go into workshop, before you add anything, any position to a regional team, even if it's shifting a position, even if it's creating a position, to give some thought to that little diagram I have sent out to you. That is the Lake Minneola High School social contract for the Social Studies Department. It reflects one cut every year. I'm not complaining about that. We've had some value. We added a nurse, and now we've doubled our healthcare capacity. We do what we have to do. I happen to personally believe the allocation model is a bit antiquated, but we do what we have to. But before you add, for example, rumor, a K through 5 specialist for social studies, please ask what is the specific need for that position. Because I have a specialist for social studies, and she's a lovely lady, but she does not add value to my classroom. Before you add to a regional team, what are they specifically going to add to the classroom? I am a school leader, and you guys know me. I am pretty vocal, if not outspoken. I've not met our regional director. Maybe that's a good thing for him. I don't know. But it seems strange, and Emily and I had a very frank discussion about that. Perhaps in the beginning we focused solidly on just the reading and the math teachers, but it does seem strange, and I don't reflect an isolated opinion among classroom teachers out here. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Montori. Okay. So we'll go back to 8.12, and Dr. Burns, I believe that was your pulled item.
Yes. I pulled Safari Montage because this is the third year that we have approved it. It's a $100,000 program, and I don't feel like we get a lot of bang for our buck with this program, and I feel like it's time to rip the Band-Aid off. We have plenty of time over the summer for teachers to come up with another solution. It doesn't provide a lot of services. I feel like a lot of those services could be replaced with YouTube, which is free, and we now have a policy that allows YouTube. Not many of our teachers are using the features for recording their lessons, the idea of using the eye and them going to be recording themselves. Very few people are doing that, to my understanding. I was told that the students do use it for news, and that's something that they would have to work to replace, but I think our students are really innovative, our high school kids, and they could easily come up with a YouTube-type solution that would be free, as opposed to spending $100,000 on this particular program, which has been a point of contention now for, like, I think about 3 years.
So at this point in time, do you want to make a recommendation, and we'll move for discussion?
I'd like to hear a comment about that.
Yeah, I was going to ask her to make a motion, and then we'll do a first and second for discussion purposes.
Would you like my comments now or the motion?
You can do them now, if that's fine.
Okay. So I don't disagree with a lot of what Dr. Burns has said. What I will push back on is the fact that we are looking to phase out some of these programs as we really get into Google. We know that that will be a good, solid replacement for this, but that is all very new to us. And moving into next year, There would be a gap that people would feel. This does run all of our news programs. It's used in our TV production area, as well as for other videos and instructional purposes. And so I think that without having a solid replacement at this time, it's kind of late in the year to go out and start searching for something else. Who knows if it will be free? It may not be free. I do think that this will be one that we will definitely be working to phase out, and that I hope won't be coming back to you again as we work, but we're just not there yet as we explore more with Google. So that being said, I will recommend approval of the renewal of Safari Montage.
You've heard the recommendation.
So moved.
Is there a second for discussion?
Second for discussion.
Okay. I feel like there's still some hesitation among board
You know, and I agree that I think there are some better solutions out there, but seeing that where we are in the timeline and having those in place for next year, I'm just not confident that that would be something that the administration and the district would be able to have in place. And then, what will teachers live without? And in this case, when I was teaching, I used Safari Montage quite regularly to pull in video clips that would have ordinarily been not accessible to me, either because, well, you need an educational license to access them, or that it would just not make any sense to go take a field trip to whatever video clip you were bringing in. The news piece is another great opportunity for our students to leverage technology, but I just don't see the infrastructure in place yet to deviate from this. So I'm willing to give it one more year, but I'd like to encourage the district to make it a priority to try and identify solutions.
Is this something that when we took away PD 360, which was, I think, prior to you, but we brought in some professional development videos, is this a platform that we use for that as well?
And I'm looking at Dr. Wheeler since that was before my time. I'm not sure.
Yes, please, come on up.
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
Is this also used for professional development videos that we had once had the platform PD 360 and that's been removed? Was this one of the reasons that we removed that? PD 360 was the overlap.
I don't think it's used for that, but can I ask Jim or Roy and Dwayne Weeks to come up and maybe they can tell you a little more about what it's used for and the plans? Is that okay?
Of course. Yes, thank you.
We're prepared for that.
Yeah.
Good evening. As Dr. Willard said, I'm Jim Roy. I'm with the IT department here in Security Systems. So Safari Montage is used collectively for a lot of different things. It's used for the television streaming for the school news, as was discussed across the district. We use it that they can upload and watch those at later times. It's used for on-demand DirecTV access, so a lot of the schools today don't have access to any live television. So with this, we're actually able to use DirecTV to be able to stream 16 digital encoded channels across the entire district. Several schools were built without any coaxial system. So television is not even an opportune for that. So this is what we would call an IPTV system and solution. As said earlier, it's also used for other educational video concepts that may not be available that we've purchased licensing for, so this gives that additional video for that. As well as it is a part of a roadmap for instructional technology, and I'm going to let Dwayne Weeks speak to that roadmap and what that looks like.
When you said it was an internet, like for DirecTV, the internet works for YouTube too, correct?
Okay.
I mean, so what's the difference? Like,
okay. Fox News, Weather Channel, something like that. If you wanted to watch that right now, YouTube doesn't provide that. A live stream of TV. Okay. So this is something that is live current, whether it's Channel 6, Channel 9, Fox News, Nickelodeon, whatever it is that a school may have something that they want to watch, ESPN for sports networks, things of that type nature. This is a live TV streaming of what's going on at that moment in time. Every school across the entire district was requesting for the NASA space. And this was a way that we were able to get them access to those rocket launches that were being done recently.
those are all available on the NASA app.
I don't know. They all wanted it through Safari Montage. So that was a way that we were able to provide that. So that was the live TV streaming through Internet Protocol.
Okay.
I think from the video standpoint, there's so much that that's available here that's not available on YouTube because of the licensing portion. I mean, is that accurate?
That is very.
I felt like I could only find it here on Safari Montage because the district had paid the licensing fee to access that content.
But back then, we weren't allowed to use YouTube.
Oh, no, you could pull it up in your classroom. It was just the safe version.
Or you could download.
Or you could download it and bring it
So
in.
it was
video and bring it in.
choked, right?
So I mean, sometimes I would look at home for a clip knowing that it might be accessible today but blocked tomorrow. so I would typically download my clips at home and bring them in.
Right.
And there was so much that was not there that was on Safari Montage because of the licensing that you pay for.
Another thing to also consider and remember is, so this is what we call a LOR, Learning Object Repository. So it's an opportunity for us to be able to keep video in-house. And anytime we keep that video in-house, we're not having to stream outside. So we can keep talking YouTube, we can keep talking every other video solution out there that's external to our network. But there's a point in time, especially testing season and other times of the year, which I think testing season is about all year long anymore, that the problem that creates is every time we go out for a video, that's bandwidth. And we only have so much bandwidth. So as you keep funneling more traffic to the internet, we've got to buy more bandwidth, and that comes with a dollar figure every month, not just for the internet itself, but also the hardware on the internal part of the network to be able to support that additional bandwidth.
Thank you.
Sure.
Mr. Weeks, did you have anything to add?
Just a slight bit. One thing about the YouTube implementation that can be a bit of a challenge, because I've helped engineer off of like an external site, especially in the case of like school news and things of that nature, is every once in a while there is the possibility that you may need to purchase some additional hardware. It's not much, but it is something to take into consideration. But one of the bigger tricks is that in the world of YouTube in the educational space, they have some pretty hard restrictions around something known as U13, under 13. And because we're kind of young in the Google implementation to some extent, there's a good amount of work to do with that. One of the things that Safari Montage does do is that whatever is in there has been deemed to be educationally appropriate, aligned to a standard, things of that nature. Whereas with YouTube, I think we have some possibility there for sure, but there'll be some underground work that we need to do as we get a little deeper into the Google implementation. And that is on the roadmap for the next year or so, but I do think that's something that needs to be considered. We took a look along with James Roy, we took a look at what it would take to engineer and kind of sort of a short turnaround, that conversion, and we just didn't feel comfortable this quick of a throw. However, I think it's something that, as all these applications, I would say any application that costs that amount of money or even somewhat less is going to be up for continual reevaluation from year to year to make sure that we're getting the pop out of it. So in good conscience, any application wasn't being adopted as deeply as it could be, and we weren't going to interrupt essential processes, I would maybe recommend it. That's just not where we are in Safari Montage. I mean, right now, I think there's a lot of work to do before that would be under consideration.
And what is the usage like?
So the usage is in like a lot of things. One thing that we found that's kind of been our key movement is starting to get people into Google this year. And one of the things is that I do think there's opportunities for improvement. We did include an infographic, which I didn't bring my laptop right in front of me or so. But if you actually dig into some of the deeper metrics, what you'll see is that like a lot of things, it seems in the past that it's been implemented where it's really strong at some schools, less strong at another. We had a technical issue not too long ago where one of the servers, or a few of the servers went down temporarily, and the help desk got pelted really hard. Because at first I was kind of like, are people using this? We found out very quickly on that day they were. But I think the thing to me that is interesting is that as we go deeper in Google, one of the things that does interest me about Safari Montage a little bit is it has an integration into Performance Matters, and it also has an integration into Google Classroom. And so Google Classroom kind of being a lightweight LMS, with a couple of clicks you can bring it over. So I guess to me, one of the metrics that I'm a little interested in for next year is seeing once that bridge is built and it's integrated a little tightly with something that we are working on implementing and can showcase that during trainings, is will the adoption pick up some because of the ease of deployment. It's a lot of teachers, or some teachers, are starting the process. I won't say a lot yet. We're going to get there next year. Some teachers are starting the process of having everything tightly integrated with Google, and with a couple of clicks to be able to add that content, it'll be interesting to see what they do. So it'll be something that we watch very carefully and that we can train around in the plan. So. Does it make
So
sense?
there is possibility that it might not go away. Is that what you're suggesting? Is
Well,
that something that would enhance Google Classroom?
It has been kind of an interesting trick to me because, like, I do think anything that costs money is something that needs to be fully reevaluated. I think we need to definitely, one thing that I'm sensitive to is that whatever plan we have, we need to evaluate quickly enough and in a timely fashion to where we're not just maybe pulling it out from teachers, because teachers invest a lot of their important time and resource and everything like that. So I do think if we were going to do it, we need to engineer. I am a little curious to see, as, like I said, I really do believe from almost like an infrastructure standpoint of being able to make sure we don't interrupt things like the digital signs that are being used, the school news, all that type of thing, that we don't yank it too early. I will be interested to see what happens, since if we were to renew it for another year, what that adoption looks like once people find the Google. I mean, the Google Classroom button is big in there. It's basically click on it, it asks you what classroom it is, and then it dumps straight over. So it'll be interesting to see if that helps speed or pick up adoption. I mean, I think we want to make sure as a district that we just always ensure that we're getting the most bang for the buck, like I said. And if people are really liking it and finding it as using, a good learning resource, then we would consider it. But it does need to be something that I think gets put on yearly reevaluation. And if any end of life is going to happen, engineered properly. But
So should this come back to us sooner next year? If we approve this, should it come back to us in February, January, so that there would be turnaround time?
yeah, what's driving, I think, it coming back now is actually kind of like the procurement cycle of when the contract was due. But I would have to defer to Dr. Wheeler, but I wouldn't be opposed to having a discussion about it previous to then. And then I do believe that as you see I know I keep pointing back every meeting, I promise when it happens on the 30th, you'll see all. But like the instructional technology roadmap does have a discussion about how that would be reevaluated and how we would get stakeholder feedback and things of that nature to make sure it's not just one person or two person making the decision.
Okay.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Weeks. Thank you. Any further discussion? So we have a motion and a second. So all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Great. Our next item that was pulled was 9.05, which was the new revised job descriptions that had just a change.
There is a change to that item. Rather than just pulling the whole item off, there's one job description that needed a revision, and the revision didn't make the packet, and that's to the production assistant. And so I'd like to recommend approval of the new and revised job descriptions minus the production assistant, and we'll bring that one back in its revised form at the next meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? Great. Okay, so we are on the staffing plan. We heard from Mr. Montori. Superintendent, I don't know, board members, do you guys have any comment, discussion about this one?
The only thing I have on this, and, well, that's loud, is, and I spoke with the staff in our meeting, is about my concerns is, and it's really, this is the district staffing plan, and this also included one department. And if we go to a plan that's next year for our food service, that we need to make sure that our high schools are staffed adequately to be able to handle the lunch crowd that would be coming in there, because first day, first impressions make a difference. And the first day students come and they see that there's a long line, that you just lost them. It's hard to get them back. So my concern is to make sure that if we're going to go through with this one plan that's to be introduced later, that we make sure that we come back and revisit this and bring this where, not wait till a week or two after school starts. We need to make sure we've got enough staff there first day. So, and the other thing was also about the custodial staff at the schools, and I spoke to the superintendent and John Carr about, is that we need to look at separating, because we're pulling custodial hours out because of square footage. And in some schools, it's hurting. Some schools, they've got enough there to maybe maintain. But then to say that they're responsible also to take care of the grounds as well. Well, in some schools, they're small, so the grounds are not that bad. But in some schools, like our elementaries, that they're all inclusive. Once you're inside, so there's no overhead walkways for them to get credit for to take care of the grounds. That becomes an issue. So I've asked them to look at how much do we have there for overhead walkways that's said to be accountable for custodial staff to be able to take care of the grounds versus the custodial staff to take care of the classrooms. Separate that out, bring that back to us at a later time, and then we may have to reevaluate this thing to where we're actually making sure we have enough staff on campus there to make our campus look beautiful. I mean, we don't want our kids in a playground playing in weeds. I don't. So other than that, that's the only thing I got.
Great. Anybody else?
So, in response to his questions about the grounds and so on and so forth, by approving the district staffing plan tonight, we're not designating the number of hours of custodial that we're putting forth, because that's separate from the audit.
That's
and so
correct.
you all will then use the formula to figure out, based on that, how many custodians you assign.
Correct.
How,
yes.
whatever that divides out to.
We are going to look at a couple of different options in regards to the issue with grounds and how we might better ensure that all of the grounds are being covered, not by the custodians that are in the buildings, but those to which we believe we might be able to get some additional support for. So we are going to take a look at that. That would come back through the allocation plan, because that is not on the staffing plan that you're approving tonight.
Right. I think the other big topic that, and was brought up tonight was the nature of the K-5 program specialist for social studies. And I had a really good conversation and quite educational one with Dr. Weiskopf. I don't know if it might be appropriate for her to share some information, because I know the perception out there of social studies is it's just social studies. If we have time, we'll teach it. But in reality, there's so much more to it than that, and particularly with its ties into literacy. And so I hate to put you on the spot, but is that all right? Is that okay?
We had the same discussion, so it would be really
I,
nice.
I would like to hear.
Yeah, that's great.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So in regard to the K-5 program specialist for social studies, here's some of the thinking behind it. A couple of things that have happened recently is, one, when we repurposed the program specialists in curriculum, we did sort of alleviate or take away some of their support for literacy. We put that person in a region as a region person last year, and it allowed for kind of a gap in the literacy piece of the curriculum specialist department. So one is that we know we need more emphasis on informational text. And so while that person does have a K-5 program specialist as social studies, really the job will entail helping us implement more of a balance between literary and informational text. So that's one piece of it, along with adding in some DBQ work that we know starts early. We can start early on. It will help as they go up to high school and be able to work with that more complex text in the content areas. And both science and social studies, really, those people will work together. We also know that that person's responsibility is also going to deal with the enrichment allocations. There's nobody that oversees any of the arts work. If they want any kind of support, there's nobody there for that. For the STEAM that we talked about back in the allocation piece. And so really it deals with informational literacy versus just social studies. And I'm probably giving the short version, but so am I giving you a flavor for that? Also, one of the things that happened recently is that the State Department has changed kind of what the third grade assessment will look like, and it's going to have some social studies content text in it in the FSA reading assessment. So while we know that maybe it's kind of been kind of optional in the K-5 realm, it will become more of a necessity as we begin to look at how that third grade assessment's being redone, and that there's a lot more social studies content going to be on it. Does that help a little bit?
That's helpful. My question is that I thought your concept with the literacy coaches was for them to be, I don't want to say jack of all trades, but I don't know of a better phrase, that they were to be literate in social studies,
right.
science.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was the
It is.
conceptual
So
concept.
Think about that K-12 look of a literacy coach, right? We know that literacy is a piece that the accreditation team said that we have a challenge with, that we know K-12 literacy is a part of our challenge in Lake County. If we would sort of help get that on a rate that would see more improvement, we would see every content area go up. So certainly the literacy coaches will be focused on that. But we also need somebody that supports the literacy coaches, right? So somebody has to bring those people together. So with coordination of all the program specialists, thinking about ELA, math, science, and social studies, those people have to learn to work together, which is one of the reasons for the reorg piece that puts them all under one umbrella. I do want to keep in mind that from that department, there are a reduction in the positions there, so it's not as if we're adding. It's just that we're moving somebody from and to. That makes any sense.
I'd like to say I was very impressed with your reduction in
And I appreciate that, Dr. Burns.
All right. Any other questions for Dr. Weiskopf? Thank you, Dr. Weiskopf, very much. Recommendation, Superintendent?
I recommend approval of the 18-19 district staffing plan.
So moved.
Great.
Second.
All right, all those in favor? Aye. Do you want discussion? Did you want?
I did.
Happened to me a couple weeks ago.
I just wanted to say that I actually was really on the fence with this until I walked into this building. Because of the 2.1 million in reduction, while it's a good reduction piece, I wasn't sure it was enough. So I got the numbers, and we had a 6% reduction in the total budget for the staffing plan. And we also had 8% of positions were reduced, which I feel like is a good number, and that made me confident that this was a good move for this county. So aye.
That was a good discussion. Like after the vote, there was a 5-0 vote. So thank you for reiterating why it was a 5-0 vote, Dr. Burns. That was excellent. Very good. Okay, so I believe that is all of the pulled items. So with that being said, there's no other discussion there. So we will come back up to approval of the minutes, which is item number 3 on your agenda, just to get everybody back on track.
I recommend approval of the minutes from the regular school board meeting, March 26, 2018. Training provided by the Lake County Sheriff's Department for active killer awareness training, April 2nd, 2018, and a regular school board meeting, April 9th, 2018.
Further recommendation? Thank you.
Second.
Oh, we'll give this second to Mr. Mathias on the end. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Okay, we are on our representation. We have some great representation going on this evening. Would you like to invite Mr. Hogan up? Is Mr. Hogan?
Would.
All right, Mr. Hogan.
Mr. Don Hogan, our
There he
district
is.
athletic director, is here with a special presentation this evening.
I knew I saw him.
Got my help coming. Thank you. Good evening, Superintendent Cornegie, school board, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we would like to recognize some outstanding accomplishments by some of our Lake County student athletes. The first 3 athletes we're going to recognize were selected first team All-State in football by the Florida Sports Writers Association. So, Mr. Mathias first. Our first young man is Kelly Joyner from South Lake High School. He's a running back. He was first team All-State 6A. Kelly's just a junior. He was a leading rusher in the state of Florida for 2017 season. He's the single season and all-time leading rusher in South Lake school history. He scored 28 touchdowns this year, and he's just a junior. Congratulations, Kelly. Our second athlete is Fred Jackson from Lake Mineola High School. He's also a running back. He was first team All-State 7A. Fred is a senior. He was Central Florida All-State Game MVP. He's All-Area Daily Commercial. Fred will be attending New Mexico Military Institute next year on an athletic scholarship. Give him a round of applause. Our third athlete, I'm not sure if he's here either, but it's Wyatt Rector. He's a Leesburg High School quarterback. Wyatt was first team All-State 6A. He's a senior. He was Class 6A Region 8 Player of the Year, All-District Daily Commercial. Wyatt is already attending Western Michigan. He's gone up there. There he is. And he's up there on an athletic scholarship. Let's give him a round of applause. Right, now we're going to recognize our state championship 6A basketball team from Leesburg. They are back-to-back state champions. The Yellow Jackets had a record this year of 30-1. The only game that they lost was to a non-FHSAA member team. so kind of ringer. They beat everybody that the FHSA put in front of them. This team won 46 of their last 47 games over 2 years. As I mentioned, they were back-to-back state champions. They're 6A state champions this year, and we'll start off by introducing the coaching staff. The head coach is Coach Campbell. He was 6A Coach of the Year. His assistants are Adrian Banks, Cam Smith, Trayman Harris, and Berkeley Carey. That's the coaching staff. The managers were Deshae Robinson, Caprice Hall, and Amari Samuels. Now the players. Jairee McLeod, sophomore. Come on up, guys, as I call your names out. Damani Nettles, sophomore. Akeem Nickerson, sophomore. Aubrey Miller, sophomore. Only sophomores, Coach. We expect big things in the future again. Calvin Heflin, senior. Lance Irving, big-time returning junior. Deshaun Benton. Corey Patterson. Keon Ellis. And the real coach on the floor, Corey Graham. Thank you. That's everybody.
While they're getting their pictures, we'd like to invite all the athletes who are recognized tonight to come over here, and we would love to shake your hand if you guys will just make your way around. We would love that opportunity.
Game of horse. You ever play horse or pig? Girl? Low or down? Hey. When you get down there, ask her if you ever play horse. It's just interesting. We should play horse or something. Congratulations. Congratulations. Way to go. Congratulations for helping out. Way to go. Congratulations, guys. Look forward to seeing y'all here next year now. All but the seniors. Congratulations. Good job. Congratulations to you. Great job, Coach. Great job. They don't get there without you.
All right. You want me to invite Dr. Weisskopf on? To do the recognition. All right. That's a hard act to follow, Dr. Weisskopf. We're going to ask that you come up, and now we're going to recognize some really, really other important people in the room tonight. So, really other. That's okay.
You're exactly right. So we have some, certainly some state award-winning athletes. We also have some award-winning high-impact teachers this evening to recognize. So I am up here to talk about those high-impact teachers for Region 2 as well as Sorrento Elementary. So as you know, a couple weeks ago I brought you Region 1's high-impact teachers, and so let me just kind of reiterate what that means to be a high-impact teacher. the Florida Department of Education has identified 97 teachers from Lake County schools as being among those with the highest impact on student learning in the state. This determination was made after an analysis of their former students' performance on statewide standardized assessments. It took 3 years of data from 2014 through 2017, and the subjects of English language arts, grades 4 to 10, math, grades 4 to 8, and algebra 1, grades 8 and 9. Whether in a classroom where students arrived already high achieving or a classroom where students were underperforming, the efforts of these teachers provided inspiration and opportunities for students that may have been otherwise inaccessible. So today we shine the spotlight on the high-impact teachers from Sorrento Elementary and Region 2. So first I'd like to call up Rob Feltner, the Regional Executive Director for Region 1, to help me honor Sorrento Elementary's high-impact teachers. So as your name is called, please come to the front to receive a certificate and a recognition pin, which I think is actually pretty cool. It says high-impact teacher on it, as our way of saying thank you for your leadership and for preparing our students for a promising future. Once all the names are called, our board members would like to shake your hand, and then we ask that you follow Sherry Owens into the rotunda to have your picture taken. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to present to you the Lake County high-impact teachers from Sorrento Elementary first, and then Region 2. So from Sorrento Elementary, I would like to honor Sally Ann Leddix. Is that correct? Ledoux. Ledoux? So you get lots of airtime. And as well as Jake Vest. And then I'd like to welcome Renee Dudley, the Regional Executive Director for Region 2, to help me with Region 2's honors. So we'll start with Astatula Elementary. If Philip Gumain, sorry, could come up. I did. I tried to check all these beforehand. Beverly Shores Elementary, Xenia Williams. Carver Middle, Shauna Farley. Fruitland Park Elementary, Patricia Ann Bordenkircher. Denise McMullen. And Leona Mellon. From Leesburg High School, Robin DeLuca. Is that right? From Oak Park Middle School, Hector Davila. Accepting on his behalf is Barbara Longo, the principal of Oak Park Middle. Congratulations. I want the pen note. And Stephanie Phillips. Tavares Elementary School, Holly Taylor. And accepting on her behalf is Dorinda McKinney, the principal of Tavares Elementary School. From Tavares Middle School, we have Catherine Borowski. Kevin Danielson. Accepting on his behalf is Trella Mott, principal of Tavares Middle School, and Lisa Johnson. From the Villages of Lady Lake, we have Joanne Applewhite. Accepting on her behalf is Mr. David Bordenkircher, principal. Tatiana Beatty. And Britt Odom. Ladies and gentlemen, here are your high-impact teachers from Sorrento Elementary and Region 2. And again, just a reminder, if you would like to shake all of the board members' hands and then kind of lead on out right out into the rotunda, and we'll get a group picture, okay? Thank you. Congratulations. If you would like to be in the picture, Barbara, you may. Wait just a minute. All right. Okay. I see that. All right, we really appreciate everybody that came out to celebrate these state award-winning teachers. We see tons of administrators here, their families here, and just wonderful to celebrate such amazing instruction that we have in Lake County schools. So thank you guys for that. We are at our public input section, and at this time I'd like to invite Mr. Sanders to the podium.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Yes, sir.
Can I have a couple of minutes before you start the clock? I want to honor my family, please. I appreciate it. I have here with me tonight my son, Luke. He's a junior at Umatilla High School. My oldest son just graduated from Umatilla High School last year, and he's working with his mom, and he's taking some business courses. So I'm really proud of both my boys. My wife is here, Carla, and she's a nurse. She's in the healthcare. My sister, Tish, was honored 2 weeks ago. She was a high-impact teacher for the second year in a row, 2 years in a row. She teaches at Round Lake Elementary School. My mom is here. She retired from Lake County as an elementary teacher, media specialist. So literacy was, as you can tell, probably pretty big in our home growing up. My dad, most of you probably, there's a few of you that might know him. He was superintendent here in this district for 8 years, and he retired in '96, and he was the first superintendent in this district to be reelected ever. So, and he retired in '96. So he's been an awesome mentor, but more importantly, he's been my dad. So I'm glad y'all are here tonight. Thank you, Steph. I have worked in Lake for close to 26 years. As you can tell, it is a family tradition with a solid foundation. I've been a school principal for almost 17 years, in the last 6 years at Umatilla Middle. This might be the best year yet in this noble profession. Let me tell you why, and this is only a sample due to the time limit that the board has put on us. However, you can catch up on all the awesome accomplishments on Twitter at Umatilla Middle or hashtag UMS Tiger Pride. Student recognitions this year at Umatilla Middle School. This is all this year at Umatilla Middle School. Chloe Partridge was selected as a member of the All-State Middle School Honor Band, All-State, not just district. Grace Kessinger for receiving the STEM Alliance Scholar Award for Outstanding Achievement in Science and Math. Carly Scott for receiving honorable mention at the Lake County Regional Science Fair. Jensen Luke and Brooke Moss for the 3rd place in the team division at the Lake County School Regional Science Fair. Alexandria Close, 1st place win in Best of Show. Best of Show out of all the middle school kids. She then went on to state and came in 3rd in state. And she's also our Disney Dreamer and Doer. And by the way, she's just in 6th grade this year. Matthew Mansell and Tyler Yarian received the Take Stock in Children Scholarship. Our awesome band received 4 straight superiors recently at the Music Performance Assessment. Jasmine Riggins, who won 1st in class and overall reserve grand champion, showing her pig at the Lake County Fair last week. Brianna C. placed 2nd in class. And Wyatt Chapman placed 4th in his class. Teacher recognitions this year. Our band teacher, Lindsay Crouch, received State of Florida Tom Bishop Award. It's been a long time since Lake County has had a band teacher receive that award. Quinny Thompson Morrison, my bookkeeper. Perfect audit, 16-17 financial records. She was awarded that this year. Well, we found the records out. I think the board might recognize them later on this year. Patty Williams, 2 weeks ago, or last time we had a board meeting, high impact teacher, 2nd year in a row. Our food service department for receiving a superior rating during the administrative review audit. So happy. I'm so proud of those ladies. As Mr. Dodd said, Sandy, you said about the chow hall and how important it is that we do our kids right in there. And I usually don't like to talk about myself that much, but a couple of things about me this school year. I'm a graduate of the Brian Dasher Leadership Academy this year. The superintendent nominated me. I applied and I was accepted, and I graduated from the Brian Dasher Leadership Academy. And I also received from the state of Florida the Best and Brightest Principal Scholarship for recruiting and retaining a high percentage of the best and brightest teachers in Lake County. In conclusion, I want to thank everyone on my staff who has worked as a team to help UMS move in a positive direction and the aforementioned honors to occur. Thank you to our business partners and our community partners and our parents. Here I stand. I know in my heart that good things have been happening at UMS. My hope is that proper assistance will be given to assure UMS continues to move in that positive direction. Steph, thank you so much for giving me a little bit extra time tonight. I appreciate it very much. And we're going to go have some dinner, and I hope my old man's buying.
Thank you.
Y'all take care. Thank you so much.
Okay, next we have Patty Winston.
My name's Patty Winston, and I live in Leesburg. I'm a registered voter, and I'm a retired pediatric nurse who worked in a school setting. I'm against arming teachers with guns. I'm a retired nurse who worked in a school. The reasons I'm against this are, and there's many more, but females are more likely to hesitate before shooting to make sure that it is a suspect, not a student, police officer, faculty, or parent. So they will take a moment before they're going to shoot, and meanwhile the shooter could be shooting them. Police have constant training under high-stress situations and know how to deal with suspects. They live with this every day. Teachers need to be hiding and helping and caring for the students during this time, not putting themselves in harm's way. Many staff will probably quit if required to arm themselves, and there is always human error which would result in shooting the wrong person, and the staff would never forgive themselves for that. Also, the gun could get in the children's hands, which just happened recently in Florida. I would like to know, when you asked the teachers, how many were willing to arm themselves. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll be discussing it, won't we? We'll be discussing that. We already discussed it. Okay. We'll be discussing that, and we don't have the exact number. I just wanted to answer that question for you. So you're welcome. Dr. Perry Berkowitz.
I've attended a number of school board meetings. I've been reluctant to come to the microphone because I didn't want to seem as if I was campaigning, but I am a candidate for the Lake County School Board, District 1. I'm a lifetime educator, and I'm going to read parts of an article that was published in the Daily Commercial on April 10th. I wrote this article. NBC News report that Kansas passed a law in 2013 that allowed members of school staff to be armed after the Sandy Hook massacre claimed the lives of 20 elementary school children. But 5 years later, no Kansas City employee has legally bought a gun onto a public school K-12 campus. The reason is that the Kansas School District main insurer, EMC Companies, sent a letter which in part read, EMC has concluded that concealed handguns on school premises pose a heightened liability risk. Because of this increased risk, we have chosen not to insure schools that allow employees to carry concealed handguns. The National Education Association notes that 7 in 10 NEA members say arming school personnel would be ineffective at preventing gun violence. The National Campaign to Keep Guns Off Campuses strictly opposes arming school personnel. They argue that arming school personnel is for many reasons a bad idea. For example, liability issues, increased cost to school district, workplace shootings, and the threat of unintentional gun discharges, which we continue to see, that school districts must confront if school personnel are armed. Conversely, unarmed school staff have stopped more active shooters than civilians with guns, according to FBI data. I am for hardening. Oh, and there was an editorial the next day. This was written on April 10th, Daily Commercial. I'll read one paragraph from the April 11th opinion. Law enforcement officers should be the only people on school campuses legally permitted to carry firearms. Putting guns into the hands of teachers makes it more likely that someone will accidentally be shot than a school shooting thwarted. I am for hardening schools with metal detectors, security cameras, securely locked outside doors, highly trained school resource officers assigned exclusively to security, and equipping them with secured, locked command posts with full access to surveillance cameras and sufficient ordnance to protect the school staff and children from any intervention. I thank you for listening.
Thank you, Dr. Berkowitz. Candace Carcillo.
Good evening. Thanks for having us. You can see they're probably going to have a little bit of a theme here. I've been a member, or actually a resident of Lake County for 13 years. I have a son who's school age. He's in 3rd grade. I have a father who was an educator for 38 years in the state of Florida, so you can see how this is near and dear to my heart. My concern at this time as a part of the Moms Demand Action Group is accessibility. As you know, we had a tragic event at Lake Mineola High last November where a student took his own life. And not 1 month later, a second student, able to access the nurse's office, got a hold of medication, and tried to end his life as well. We know that the highest rates of gun violence tend to be suicides. And my concern is if we add weapons to what's already kind of a high-stress situation for both teachers and students, it can lead to some tragic accidents and tragic results. So I ask that you take, again, a look at the Guardian program. I ask that you vote no for that, and that you take it back to the state. The state should be looking at additional resource officers. It should be looking at helping our school counselors be able to actually do their job, look for problem students, and able to help those situations and take troubled situations and pull those out of access problems and any kind of escalation. So again, please vote no on this Guardian program. There can be the resources that the state wants to give us can be allocated much more efficiently than what they're actually giving you right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah Clausen.
It's me again. I promise I will be brief this week. I just wanted to continue what I started at the last meeting. I'm here as a teacher and as a mother and as the daughter of 2 retired educators in this county. And I wanted to speak about the financial burden that the Guardian program could put on the school district. Schools that have allowed employees to carry guns have had difficulty obtaining insurance coverage. Like said before, some liability insurance providers have declined coverage to these schools. Proposals to arm teachers will likely result in additional costs, such as training teachers, firearms, ammunition, and other costs, putting an additional financial burden on school districts and ultimately on the taxpayers. The funds allocated to us from the state are not adequate to sustain the Guardian program model. And finally, I would like to speak about the culture we would be creating by arming school personnel. It's institutional. It's a culture of fear. It doesn't support learning. What are we teaching if we're modeling a violent response to an issue of violence? Are we here to police, or are we here to really be agents of change in our society and in our community? Please make an official decision to opt out of the Guardian program, and let's focus on real solutions and prevention strategies such as the red flag laws, gun safety courses, and sensible gun laws overall. I also have notes for everybody, so thank you.
Thank you. Susan Hogden, if you want to come up, and then when Ms. Clausen's finished, you can start. Thank you. We can get it.
Yes, Madam Superintendent and board members, thank you for having us tonight. I'm with Moms Demand Action also, and that is particularly for sensible gun control. That is what we want to see, and we do believe that arming teachers is a dangerous proposal, and we are against that. However, we do believe that schools are meant to be places of sanctuary, safety, and learning for our children. As the mass shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland showed us, children are also victims of America's gun violence crisis, even while they're in school. And there's no evidence that arming teachers will protect the children in our schools. To the contrary, the research actually indicates that arming teachers will make the schools and the children less safe. We believe that arming teachers ignores research that shows the presence of a gun increases the risk posed to children. And we also think that the easy availability of firearms plays a fatal role in the child firearm suicides, as mentioned earlier. America's teachers, safety school experts, and law enforcement all oppose arming teachers. We believe that the guns have no place in our schools, period. As Mr. Gamble said earlier tonight, we want to make our schools beautiful for our kids. We also want them to be safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I believe that puts us down to our student representative. Bailey, we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Chairman Stephanie Luke, Superintendent Cornegie, and fellow board members. I have the honor of reporting to you many of the highlights happening at Umatilla High School. This has been an exciting year for Miss Ethington's National Honor Society. Members had a great time giving back to our community over the past 8 months with multiple activities, such as collecting clothing, water, and toiletries for Hurricane Irma victims. As we prepare to say goodbye to 27 wonderful seniors, we had the honor of welcoming 45 new members at the 2018 induction ceremony on April 2nd. Ms. Campbell has used the Sylvan ACT Reading Prep program for the past 4 years with continued success. We not only serve seniors, but also a large percentage of our juniors needing to meet the graduation reading requirement. We are proud to report that 23 of our 24 seniors have passed so far, which is a 96% pass rate. The district-wide SAT test on March 7th bumped our junior pass rate to 64%, and we are very confident that we can match or pass last year's junior pass rate of 84% before the upcoming school year. We continue to see fewer ESE students needing a reading waiver to graduate. Our ESE students diligently participate in the program, and on average, 86% meet the ACT or SAT concordant score for a standard diploma. With guidance from Ms. Krangle, we were fortunate to have 2 UCF students complete their service learning hours by tutoring our English language learners this year. The tutors used various materials to build confidence in reading, thinking, and talking in their new language. Ms. Adkins Web Development Academy is proud to announce that 41 students have become industry certified this year alone. 36 students passed the ACA Dreamweaver CS6 industry certification test, and 5 became CIW Internet Business Associate certified. Also, the UHS Web Development Academy has meticulously built the current websites for many local businesses, nonprofits, and school groups. Our digital design classes are creating students who are armed with the skill sets they need to succeed in the 21st century global workforce. UHS leads the district as the first digital design academy to upgrade to the extremely more powerful Adobe Creative Cloud, leaving behind the old version of Creative Suite 6. Industry certifications received this year include Adobe Certified Associate in Graphic Design and Illustration, Print and Layout, and in Visual Communication. We also have 61 students currently registered for their industry certification tests. Mr. Barnhart's classes also have much to brag about in relation to their community connections through attending events, taking on many jobs and internships, and inviting guest speakers to the classroom. Mr. Lively's Agriculture Department is proud to announce that 23 students have earned their Agri-Technician Specialist certifications this year. They can also boast about connections made with 14 businesses within the community. UHS is very proud of the Ag Department's participation in the following events: the Umatilla Wildlife Festival, Umatilla's Cracker Christmas, the Lake County Fair, and the Farm to Table event at the County Line Cattle Ranch. 11 Horticultural Science Academy students are currently testing for FNGLA certification in Miss Ballard's classes. Many of these students participated in the Farm to Table event that took place to highlight the FFA. The classes started an aeroponics program using 4 gardens to produce vegetables for families through an affiliation with the Lake Cares Food Pantry Paisley Group. To ensure we have an outlet for the vegetables we grow, we are establishing relationships with area civic and church organizations to help with food distribution. Colonel Minyard and Sergeant McCullough have led the Army JROTC through many accomplishments this school year. The drill team has won 8 trophies, and orienteering has won a total of 3 trophies and 6 individual medals. They have provided honor guard to 2 community events and will provide support for our high school award and graduation ceremonies. Their community support includes providing 20 cadets to support the Florida Elks Camp for the Gretchen Everhart School for Intellectual Disabilities Fall Camp, and providing 8 cadets to support the Umatilla American Legion Post for a flag retirement ceremony. The UHS High Q season was defined by discovery, adaptation, and the resolve of a practically new team and sponsor. Senior class president Andy Calando offered his expertise on the meets and shared how things were facilitated, which was very beneficial. The team finished second in the first of 7 competitions for a best finish, but learned a lot that first meet and built some momentum for the rest of the school year. High Q sponsor Mr. Griffin states, "I am very proud of our students. They always showed grace in class to the other competitors, and they held their heads high even when things did not go their way." Under the leadership of Mr. Page, a business venture has evolved this year at UHS. Approximately 12 students are expanding upon the skills pertinent to starting a business, creating business plans, and developing the methods needed to raise capital to sustain a business. Mr. Totten is proud to report that every Avid senior has been accepted into college. These include schools as far away as Villanova and Seton Hill in Pennsylvania to many other schools within Florida. On April 12th, our student body attentively witnessed a mock DUI. Faculty volunteers initiated a unique storyline for an even more realistic effect. Our beloved Mrs. Archer beautifully portrayed the role of a grieving mother as her son Gage played the role of the deceased victim in the mock DUI crash. It was an eye-opening presentation followed by 2 touching testimonies of real-life DUI victims. And finally, as a follow-up to our Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School memorial, UHS sent many cards and letters of support to the high school, along with donations totaling $350. Thank you for this privilege to share. It's been an honor.
You covered a lot of ground in a very short amount of time. Thank you very much for representing Umatilla High School in that matter. I'm super impressed. Are you guys impressed? I talk really fast. It takes a lot to impress me in regards to speaking fast. So, Mr. Campbell, thank you for being here, and thank you to your family members who've come out here to support you and have done a fine job. So thank you for representing Umatilla High School. All right, now we are on to hearing from our Rookie Teacher of the Year finalist from Leesburg High School, Ms. Jessica Browning.
Thank you so much for having me, first of all. I just wanted to give a brief update of Leesburg High School and kind of what's going on there and also in my classroom. So some of the positives that we've had at Leesburg High School, as you've seen, we got back-to-back state championships, 2nd year in a row, so we're very proud of our basketball players. Again, Coach, right? Coach Campbell, he works with me in the math department, also got State Coach of the Year, so I'm very proud of that. Leesburg High School also got funding for a construction academy at the school, which I think is really great. A lot of our students, I teach math, and a lot of my students kind of want an extra outlet into, arts or construction, and that would also help them in the future get really good jobs in Leesburg. So there's that as well. We're also doing the ACE program next year, which is part of Cambridge, so I'm very excited about that. It's kind of along the lines of AP. It's a little bit different, so the kids will have more control over what classes they pick as they go further on in their academic career. So I'm really excited to kind of kick that off next year. In terms of algebra, that's what I teach, Algebra 1. We're really excited, especially because we're kicking off into the EOC review season, and some of the challenges that we faced this year was, they're testing on a platform that's going to be all online. So we've been able to actually incorporate all the online testing strategies and testing platforms to our classes, so the kids test throughout the year on the computers and have all the exact same answers that they would have on the EOC. So hopefully that will work out very well for them. And yeah, I just want to give a very, very brief update of Leesburg High School.
We appreciate it greatly.
Thank you.
Congratulations again on being a Rookie Teacher of the Year finalist. So thank you very much. All right, Mr. Johnson, I believe. Yep, Mr. Johnson.
Yes, ma'am. Just two things. The first is the Department of Education selected a mediator to mediate the issue that we have with a couple of the charter schools relating to the provision of the IDEA funding and how that's handled. The Department of Education appointed Ms. Tepper, who assisted us in mediating the Charter School USA mediation this year as well. I think she'll do an excellent job. The only other thing is that after tonight, I won't be here till next Monday. If you need anything in the interim, Ms. Turner will be happy to take your phone call. Well, except maybe Mr. Mathias's, but that's all I have.
All right, thank you. All right, we are on our consent agenda.
All right, I recommend approval of consent agenda items 8.01 to 8.03, 8.05 to 8.11, 8.13 to 9.04, and 10.01 to 10.11.
You've heard the recommendation?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. That's 4-0. And now we are on to the superintendent's report.
So today you might have seen a press release that went out in regards to report cards, letting everybody know now that we're not going to be printing, so we're no longer be mailing report cards. This will be a nice cost savings to the district. We have more parents that are now enrolling in our Skyward Family Access, and we encourage them to go there, and they can get a copy of the report card. They can print it. And anyone who doesn't have access can certainly request a copy, and we'll be happy to provide one in the office. Should they not either have access to it or prefer that the school provide a copy, they'll be happy to do so. We encourage everybody to go ahead and log in to the Skyward Access and get an account. And if they need help doing so, we'll be sending out lots of information to parents over the next couple of weeks to ensure that they're ready and are not caught off guard by the fact that they don't have a printed report card in their hand. As was mentioned earlier, we did close out the school guardians survey. And this was the second one. This one went out to all community members. And so I'll be preparing those results and have those to you tomorrow. And we'll send that out to you all, and then we can certainly discuss them at our next opportunity. And please remember that our first open enrollment window for educational choice transfers closes on Monday, April the 30th. We started accepting applications from Lake residents on February 1st and will now continue through April 30th. A second enrollment window will open in June for those living inside and outside of Lake County who wish to enroll in one of our absolutely tremendous schools. And finally, we are fortunate to have some amazing employees working in our district. And so we'd like to recognize that May 4th is School Lunch Hero Day. That's a very appropriate title for that day, as we recognize the hardworking food service professionals working in our school cafeterias. These employees have a lot on their plate between preparing healthy food, adhering to strict nutrition standards, navigating student food allergies, and offering service with a smile. And also, we'd like to go ahead and recognize the week of May 7th through 11th is National Teacher Appreciation Week. So lots more to come as we honor those teachers in Lake County, as we did here tonight. I want to say congratulations to all of our high-impact teachers from Region 2 and Sorrento. And also let you know that there were several letters of condolences that went out this past week. Betty Jo Blankenship, she's the mother of Scott Blankenship and mother-in-law of Kathy Blankenship, who was a board member of our Education Foundation. We sent a letter in the loss of his mother, Betty Jo Blankenship. Benjamin Crunk, head custodian at Tavares Middle, lost his father, James Crunk. Our condolences to him and his family. And also Tess Rogers, assistant principal at Umatilla Middle, and to Gary Rogers, maintenance manager. They lost their mother and mother-in-law, Judy Scott, and our condolences to them as well.
Thank you, Superintendent. Mr. Mathias?
First, I'd like to thank Ms. Stevens for your report and your second meeting. Well done. And Ms. Browning, thank you for your service and you touching kids every day. I also would like to recognize Kelly McManus. She is the teacher in Ocala that first confronted the shooter there last week. While his hands were raised, she comforted him. And while I certainly appreciate that we continue to have a conversation about guns, I want to make sure that we keep the focus on the real core problem, which is mental health. And I don't think we speak enough about that or that we push enough for funding. So that's where my head's at. As we move through the process, I was with a group today at Plantation, and I shared with them that regardless of where the Coach Frice Guardian program ends, that because we've had a healthy dialogue, our schools will be safer. That I can attest to. A little bit about me. I will be recognized on May the 9th receiving the Lake County Public Service Award. I'd like for all y'all to come. I was nominated and selected, and I'm looking forward to that. And then I was asked to be the chair for the honorary chair for the Boys and Girls Club Gala, which is their largest fundraiser. And the Boys and Girls Club are amazing partners with our Lake County schools, and I was very proud to accept. That's it.
Well done. Dr. Burns?
Yes, I was invited a couple weeks ago to Carver Middle School. Mr. Wolf at Carver Middle School invited me to speak for Public Servants Day. It was really fun for me to get back in front of a classroom. And these were 7th and 8th graders. So they were kind of a riot. We discussed how a bill becomes a law. I used the public recess bill, the public school recess bill, as an example, and we discussed the structure of the school board and local government, and all of that. I must have been like you, Stephanie, because it took me all of 15 minutes. Then I was like, "What do I talk about?" So I threw it out to them, and they had wonderful questions. And we discussed things that they didn't like and that they wanted changed and how they could work on making those changes through their student government or through the SAC committees at their school. And as like my final question, I would always ask them what they thought of our food, which they love to talk about and are not fans of. But I wanted to point out that today, in our consent agenda, we approved a new food service company. So hopefully we'll be providing our kids with higher quality food that next time, maybe next year, they'll like better. So we'll find out. But it was a really fun opportunity. I also attended the district showing of Suicide, The Ripple Effect, which was a really touching documentary about a man who has bipolar disorder and tried to kill himself by jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. And if you've ever lived with anyone who has mental illness, it's it was a very realistic and very touching documentary. And I hope that we can continue with this trend, because it was really a good opportunity for everyone in Lake County. I also was able, and I'm sure a lot of you will talk about the School-Related Employee of the Year, but I'm the first, where we got to celebrate our volunteers, our school-related employees, and our community business partners. Once again, I was amazed by the outpouring of support for our schools. Our volunteers have stepped up and provided everything from new art programs to robotics programs, and they are being funded by our wonderful business partners. And finally, our school-related employees are a group that I feel like are underappreciated, and they touch our children in so many ways, from that first smile on the bus to making sure a kid with allergies doesn't get hurt while having something as simple as lunch, to making sure that we count all of our children so that we have the funds to actually educate them. So our school-related employees, I just wanted to all of you, I just want to say thank you. That's all I have.
Well done. Mr. Dodd.
Well, I did have some remarks about the Night of Stars, and you put that so eloquently. All I think really I could say is ditto to that, and big thanks to the Ed Foundation for putting on another great event. It is amazing when you look at the diversity of job titles and classifications in that room, how many people it takes to really run this complex organization. So big thanks to all those people who are part of us to make that happen. As we are in the midst of testing season, I thought that this was rather appropriate. I saw the LCEA had shared this on their Facebook this morning, entitled "The Absurdity of Standardized Testing." And I'll tell you, I felt a little bit guilty as a parent this morning, because over the weekend I realized my daughter's got an orthodontist appointment just an hour before the test, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, are her teeth going to be hurting during this test? Is she going to feel the stress of that? What are the stakes associated with that? Because she had just recently recounted to me how the test affects every one of her teachers, whether it's she knows which ones her math scores tie to, which ones her reading scores tied to, which ones both tie to, and I thought, that's just too much for a sixth grader to even know or even care about. So in any sense, I'm going to read the remarks here that the LCA had shared somebody's status entitled "The Absurdity of Standardized Testing," because I think this is a great example and puts into light some of the oddities we see. So it says, "I went to the doctor at least 5 months ago. I had hours and hours worth of tests given over many days. I was told I'd have to wait months for all the results. Finally, my results came in today. Seems on a healthy scale, I'm a 2 out of 4. I asked my doctor exactly what is wrong with me, and I was told it was confidential. All I could know was my score and that I was healthier than 42% of the other people who took the same medical tests I did. So then I asked what she was going to do to help with my health problems. She told me she would practice doing similar tests with me over and over and again. Then she would test me again next year to see if I showed any improvement. She told me to please take the test practicing seriously, because if my health doesn't improve, she could lose her job." You know, I'm not opposed to testing when used for the right reasons. It should be really designed to inform instruction, and the state has gotten so backwards on that. It's a shame, you know, and listening to how students this year have had to practice just understanding the platform, so that way they could make sure that didn't serve as a barrier to understanding the content knowledge and communicating that. I just really hope that the state can fix that next year. I know there are lots of folks running for House for Larry Metz's seat, so you know, some words of wisdom: education is broken, and it would, I think, serve us well to get that on the right track. Thank you.
Well done. All right, so I can just say ditto to that and to Dr. Burns. So thank you both for representing us eloquently, and I would also like to express my thanks for you two being here tonight and representing your schools so well. I wanted to. We had a representative here this evening from Senator Bill Nelson's office. She was here representing him. Oh, she is still here. Thank you very much for attending this evening for the senator. We also wanted to wish Mr. Gamble and Umatilla High School and all the other district softball teams that are competing tonight, tomorrow night, and Friday night is a championship game. We wish those girls some luck. There's lots of concluding sports that are happening, and I just wanted to say thank you again to our high-impact teachers who were here tonight. I also wanted to say, I got a lot of calls over the last week. I know that there's some changes that are happening in the district, and with those come some scary and uncertain times. And the people that I've heard that have reached out to me have been genuinely concerned for the state of the district and the direction that the district is heading in. And I wanted to just pass along what's given me peace in this time of change, because this is such a crazy time of year that we hear so often from our employees, that every time I call anybody that's on our district staff, whether it's Dr. Weiskopf or whether it's the superintendent or whether it's Chad or whether anybody that we contact, it's never I don't really know. They always have the conversation and the openness to just hear the concerns and then to talk about the direction that they're moving. So for me personally, there's enough trust in our current administration to allow them some room to move this district, because we've been looking for movement in this district, and I firmly believe that we are headed in the right direction. So I wanted to thank all of the staff members that have fielded questions. I know from me, probably from all of our board members as we go down these new paths, for your openness and for your honesty, and we are looking forward to some things that are going to happen. So with that being said, meeting adjourned.